It's no secret that the PlayStation 4 is one of the biggest success stories for Sony as a corporation. But will the PlayStation 5 be able to continue the winning streak for Sony? Well, if the company's future of gaming livestream and the events surrounding it is any indication, that winning streak looks to be in Sony's pocket. Hi, I'm Ishaq, and this is the iXie Gaming Podcast. Sony's PlayStation 5 made a huge splash not too long ago with a fantastic assortment of games and one rather intriguing console reveal in the company's digital event. And this has the next-gen hype train charging in full steam ahead. After months of waiting and anticipation, people got to witness Sony finally break their silence about the PS5. The event was packed with a great mix of games ranging from smaller indie games to stellar AAA titles that showcase the power of the PS5. But let's not discuss the games here. We have an article in our blog section covering all the games in the event, so do check that out. There is so much else to unpack from Sony's event, right from the console reveal, which I have to admit was quite a doozy, to the impact that this reveal has had on the industry, to where Microsoft finds itself as Sony's competitor. There is plenty to interpret from the show and the crazy amount of buzz surrounding it. So let's get right into it. First off, let's talk about that console reveal. While Sony never explicitly said that there will be no console revealed in its Future of Gaming event, they cleverly marketed it to set the expectation that the show will be squarely focused on games. As a result, all the hype surrounding the show prior to the stream was all about what games could potentially be revealed, what the launch titles are going to be like, and whether more information regarding features like backward compatibility will be shared. Many did not see the console's reveal coming until the start of the show. I personally did not expect it, despite stumbling on a news article a couple of days prior to the show that said that the production of the PS5 will begin in a few weeks. This was all the hint that was needed, as the form factor of the machine would have been finalized by that point. So a reveal would have to be imminent. But no. The reveal was a pleasant surprise and one that I did not see coming. The design of the console, though, has the public opinion split, to say the least. I love the bold design, and while such a wild aesthetic to its design was never expected, I do very much appreciate this approach by Sony. That said, how the clamshell design will function in real life and how it holds up through the console's life cycle is something that time will tell. There is plenty more we can discuss about the console and its family of accessories, but that is probably a topic for another day when more features are revealed. Right now though, we need to look at Sony and Microsoft's stand in terms of public engagement now that both companies have their chips on the table, so to speak. Let's talk about Microsoft first and go all the way back to the Game Awards 2019, where the Series X was revealed. The Series X reveal too, like the PS5, was something many did not see coming. It was one of the better kept secrets from an upcoming major gaming event. The reveal was also a very important move for Microsoft in terms of their strategy to have people talking about their new console. At the time, Sony had already announced that they will be pulling out of E3 the following year, and Microsoft was set to exploit that to their advantage, as any rival company would do. So the console reveal was to act as a palate cleanser before the traditional blowout of games and details during and around the time of E3 the following year. And the reveal did just that. Microsoft enjoyed plenty of attention from the masses, and while opinions on the design was all over the place, it still had people talking. Sony's silence on the PS5, save for some snippets through interviews, only helped Microsoft sustain this level of attention on their brand new console. Then there was the Road to PS5 event from Sony in March this year, which was originally planned for GDC earlier, which did not resonate well with the general public. Sony's developer-focused digital event did not show any games. There was no console reveal, and it also shed the light on the fact that the PS5 was lacking in raw power compared to the Series X, sparking another round of the teraflops debate. In Sony's defense though, this show was made with developers in mind, and not the end user. Which also begs the question, why put it out for the masses? Well, the same talk on GDC would have been available for the people anyway, so there's that. The end result of the event, though, was that it added to the hype and attention towards Microsoft's console, and the already lingering thirst for real info and frustration among PlayStation community only got worse. At this point, it was all wins for Microsoft, with only a few setbacks in terms of the uncertainty of future events, namely E3. E3 was crucial for their strategy, but the COVID-19 pandemic and its effect resulted in E3 ultimately being cancelled. With the E3 advantage gone, Microsoft was now in line with Sony and all other major game publishers resorting to digital events, and this is where the proverbial tables had turned. And it wasn't even their fault. Phil Spencer's inclination towards being candid had mostly worked quite well with the gaming community. So, in the same lines, Microsoft's first digital event that focused on third-party games for the Series X was streamed, complete with company executives filling in from their homes along with a showing of future games to come. While there was nothing wrong with the work-from-home aesthetic of the show, there were a couple of glaring flaws in the show that worked towards the detriment of the company. First was Microsoft's messaging for the show, which touted gameplay reveals for the Series X. And second was the choice of games presented. While there was a fair amount of gameplay shown, none of it showcased what next gen is capable of, save for the very first game of the show, and this left a bad taste throughout the show's runtime. This only got worse when the supposed gameplay reveal for Assassin's Creed Valhalla turned out to be in-engine footage rather than straight-up gameplay. Overall though, Microsoft's first event focused on the Series X more or less stumbled out of the gate, bringing a sense of deja vu from the company's Xbox One reveal, albeit not of the same magnitude. Despite these predicaments though, Microsoft still had all the exposure they wanted, as at the time, they were the only ones offering news and reveals to the next-gen hungry community. And then, Sony announced about their upcoming event that would be focused on next-generation games. Following a week's delay from the originally announced date, Sony's event finally streamed on the 11th of June, and how they presented the show clearly showed how well Sony had been preparing for this. The show was well made with high production values and featured a variety of games with sizable runtime for gameplay. While some games were hit or miss, it did have some of Sony's first-party exclusives, namely Spider-Man Miles Morales and Horizon Forbidden West. Overall, it was a great show which was in stark contrast to Microsoft's attempt at showcasing games for the Series X. However, it is just not the event that played well for Sony, but everything else surrounding it. The event was the most watched live stream in the history of YouTube. The unconventional styling of the PS5 set the internet debating about it for days, and the reveal trailer became the most watched and liked video on PlayStation's YouTube channel. So much so that it had garnered far more views in a few days than what the Series X did from its reveal back in November last year. Add to it, industry experts sharing their appreciations for PS5's custom SSD, and suddenly, Sony seemed to have the world's attention. And Microsoft, in a way, found itself on the defensive. All that said, this is just the current state of affairs, and there is plenty more to come from both companies. So future events from either companies will find ways to garner momentum. Plus, there are various other factors that may decide which company is more successful. Firstly, the price. Pricing for both consoles still remains a mystery, although analysts suggest that Microsoft will have no problem selling the Series X at a loss if they have to, in order to remain competitive with Sony's hardware. Sony, on the other hand, is reportedly struggling to arrive at a price point that is both appealing to customers and reduces initial losses at the same time. They may have found a solution with two different SKUs this time, more on that in a bit. But Microsoft is also reportedly working on a cheaper alternative to the Series X. Secondly, both companies' philosophy on how games will run on their new console differ from one another. Microsoft approaches this with a consumer-friendly face where all the games will work on any Xbox console, at least for the first couple of years, with difference in performance based on the hardware. And games once bought for the older console can be played on the new one when the player chooses to upgrade. While this means that the player can play their games without the worry of having a new console, it also diminishes the need of a new console from the average consumer's point of view. Whether Microsoft will continue doing this after a couple of years, or will it start releasing exclusive games for the Series X is something that time will tell. Sony, however, are staying true to tradition and will have games made exclusively for the PS5. This way, those new games could leverage all of the new console's power without worrying about older hardware and provide players with a game that would not have been possible on the now 7-year-old PS4. But this also means that the consumer would have to buy the PS5 to play those games. Both of these approaches have their pros and cons, but I feel that once the consoles are released, we will soon know which one fares better. Price and philosophy aside, there is one more factor that is crucial, and that's the value proposition. Xbox is already pioneering on this front thanks to offerings like Game Pass, which offers incredible value and not to mention incentive for owning the console. Sony's PS Now service, however, is nowhere close to this. Microsoft will, in all likelihood, push Game Pass even more aggressively as they move towards launch. And this will certainly help them sway some consumers who are looking for the most bang for their buck. The folks at Sony really need to come up with something great to tackle what is arguably the best value proposition in the business from a consumer's point of view. Before we finish though, we need to get back to pricing just one more time, namely for the PS5. There are already various rumors on the internet about the PS5's pricing ranging from $399 to $699. But the general consensus is that the digital-only version of the PS5 will match the price of the Series X and the disc version will sell at a higher price. While I agree with this, I have a feeling that the roles will be reversed though. I feel that the disc version will match the price of the Series X and the digital-only version will cost more. And there's a reason for that. It is Sony's much touted SSD. Both the disc and the digital version is going to ship with a custom SSD, and it's only logical that the digital version has a higher capacity SSD, probably double or maybe even triple to what the disc version has. So if the digital version is to have a bigger SSD, then the difference in price could far outweigh that of a disc drive, as SSDs are expensive. So in conclusion, and you heard it here first, it wouldn't be a surprise if the disc version of the PS5 is cheaper than the digital version. Unless Sony plans to sell external SSD solutions as extras. Mind you, we haven't seen the back of the console yet, and it may house some ports for expandable storage like the Series X. And based on how Sony approaches this may or may not affect how Microsoft prices their consoles and what kind of queues they may offer upon release. Overall though, when you look at the development so far, the lead up to next generation has been unlike anything we have seen before. Both companies are flexing their corporate and creative muscle in their own way to win that sweet market share. Personally, I'm more inclined towards Sony as their strategy makes sense to me. Also, the fact that new games will be built for the PS4 from the ground up is exciting for me. Sony's first-party games have been the best in the class, in most cases, and the probability of them getting even better is much higher with the PS5. If Sony gets the price right, then one would be safe in assuming that all the planets and stars have aligned to favor the PS5. That said, we simply cannot deny the sheer value of Game Pass and other various consumer-friendly offerings from Microsoft. If the company can also pull off providing excellent first-party games through their various acquired studios, they stand a good chance of leading the way this new generation. All of the above will be clearer in a few months after the supposed year-end release window for both consoles. But there is plenty more that is set to happen between now and then. It is going to be very interesting to see how the next few months pan out and what either companies have in store to lure the masses in. Exciting times are on the horizon and I for one can't wait. So, did you watch Sony's event? How do you like the PS5's design? Will the price of either consoles be revealed soon? If so, which of the two companies will announce it first? Let's discuss these and more in future podcasts. Check back for more soon. Until then, I'm Ishaq and this is the iXie Gaming Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. You have a great day, stay safe and keep gaming.